Hey everyone, it's Dub Nation here and welcome back to a brand new Marvel video here in the channel. Today I would like to stop and take the time to rank all 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, ranked from the worst to the best. Please know that everything that I will say in this video is just my very own opinion. My list is certainly not the right list, it is just my list, and you are free to comment down below your ranking of all 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, ranked from the worst to the best just like me, or you could just do your favor. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter that's going to pop up on your screen right now. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys, and without further ado, let's just get right into our ranking. Kicking off my list at number 6 for me has got to go to episode 1, A New World Order. As an introduction to this series, the opening aerial fight scene inside of this was excellently executed in a way that is going to feel like an entire movie. And that's basically what I got going inside of the series. I thought that this series is going to be just like a movie and it's going to be awesome. Now, obviously, we had that scene before that where Falcon was getting ready for some type of event. It seemed like he kind of felt a little bit distraught, so we kind of figured that maybe Steve had died. And like throughout this entire series, especially starting with this first episode, we constantly think, is Steve dead? What of Steve? Somebody even says inside of this episode they think Steve is on the moon, or like Captain America's on the moon. We don't know where he's at right now, but overall, this episode was more about seeing where these characters are after Endgame and seeing where the world is after Endgame. We have people that have taken this super soldier serum that is fighting for the refugees that got pushed out of their home after 5 billion people came back from out of existence. So I love all of the chaos that's inside of there and how these characters and how the citizens of this world are reacting to this new world order, just like the title says. But I just love seeing the everyday struggle of Sam not being able to get a loan to pay for his family's boat, or Bucky not knowing what to do with his life after these wars and after 70 years of being an assassin. All of that is great, but the show is called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we didn't get that inside of this episode. We just got Sam and Bucky, one's in New York, one's in Louisiana. At least we got introduced to a new Captain America, though. Kicking off my top 5 list has got to go to episode 3, Power Broker. When I first saw this episode, I loved it. I loved this episode so much. Out of the 3 episodes, I thought that it was by far my favorite because we got the Zemo, the Sam, the Bucky. Their dynamic together is just so much fun watching. The neon underground crime market is always an interesting setting for me because I just love like underground crime stories like this one. And I loved it when they were getting hunted and like the girl inside of the glass place, she just like pulled out a finger gun and then just like banged them. I thought that was actually pretty cool. And then just having them run away from people trying to assassinate them, that was awesome to me. The fact that Zemo is so likable in this episode makes me wonder why he is such a bore inside of Captain America Civil War. Bucky and Sam being hunted, like I said, and the whole Personas thing was just so much fun. I laughed so hard when Sam's sister called and he just had to play the part. That was pretty funny. Like, in my opinion, that was pretty funny. The Personas were funny for a little bit, until you realize that Sam's identity is kind of recognizable. Obviously, Bucky as the Winter Soldier, not so bad. But Sam as this other character, where in the last 2 episodes we see that anybody, even little kids on the street, can recognize him. So yeah, his disguise here was not the best. And I originally was going to have this episode up higher, but just because of that moment, it kind of lowered it for me. This episode was so much fun, mixing in John Wick and awesome underground crime market action with familiar faces like Zemo and Sharon. They're getting in on the action as well. All of that carries this episode. And also I love the fact that we get a little bit more background context on these Flag Smashers and see how they got the super soldier serum and who made it. So I liked all of that a bit. Coming in at number 4 for me has got to go to episode 6, One World, One People. The finale is really great. Like, it is really great. It's way better than WandaVision's finale, and I love WandaVision. I do personally think that WandaVision is the better show, but the finale here is just really great. I love seeing Sam as Captain America now, even though he shouldn't be named Captain America. He should be named something different. I love seeing Bucky's apology after that setup that we had in the first episode. I love seeing his consequences of that, and just how Yori just leaves him and doesn't say anything like, I treat you as my son, or I forgive you, or something like that. I love that. It creates a nice little verisimilitude inside of it. But one thing is that it didn't have that much setup. It is weighed drastically down by Carly. Throughout this entire show, she's been portrayed as a villain that we should feel sympathetic for because of her motives, which her motives are great. But she just comes off as going way too far, and I get why she's fighting, but this finale tried so hard to make her seem like she was right, even if Sam said he didn't like the way that they were fighting the fight. Carly killed people and expected sympathy from that. This finale only proved my point that Carly was a negative, while we have characters like John getting hated from episode 1 to him being the hero of this finale. But there are many shining lights inside of it. Like I said, Sam as Captain America, Bucky's apology, U.S. agent coming into the mix, and also Isaiah Bradley seeing himself in the museum. All of that was pretty great. And we also got the reveal of the power broker, which was Sharon. But did you guys feel anything when Carly died? Because I didn't. Kicking off my top 3 list has got to go to episode 2, the Star-Spangled Man. One of the reasons this episode works for me is because this is what I expected from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to be. Sam and Bucky together doing the buddy cop thing, bouncing off of each other with their great dynamic. It is amazing to me. I also love the truck battle sequence that they have inside of there. There's a little bit more context on these Flag Smashers and what they are and what their whole deal is. I thought all of that was very nicely. And we also get to see how the little guy, how just these citizens rally behind these Flag Smashers, how they kind of agree and side with them, because you see people helping them out, bringing them into their homes. I thought all of that was pretty great. And also we get a nice little tease of who the power broker may be, with them texting Carly saying, I am going to kill you, giving a nice little bit of a setup for the finale. We get an awesome opening with the Star-Spangled Man with a planned remix also. And let's not forget introducing, like I said, and starting to flesh out characters like John and Lamar, who are both just as eager to work with Bucky and Sam, but obviously they turned them down. The big standout here is how Marvel just drops a bomb on us and perfectly shows us a representation of how America was back then in Isaiah Bradley. All of it feeling organic and not at all forced, since he does play into the story and the overall arc of a black man being Cap, of the black man taking up the shield. And also they touch on the legacy of that shield and what that shield means to Bucky and Sam. But that goes into a negative of mine about this episode, just one negative, and that is the therapy scene felt very rushed. My runner-up at number 2 has got to go to episode 5, Truth. I mean, just straight off the bat, we have an amazing action sequence with John Walker versus Bucky and Sam, them trying to pry off the shield. That just worked so great for me as an amazing prologue that kind of set the tone for this episode going forward. We get Zemo taken to the ref, which I wish that the Wakandans would have killed him, but I love Zemo, so hopefully we get to see more of him. This episode moves nothing forward really with the plot, but instead it kind of gives us a little bit more time of focusing more on the relationship forming between Sam and Bucky. We get a little bit more context of the tragedy that is John Walker and also the tragedy that is Isaiah Bradley. Two characters that are mascots of America today with John Walker and America back then with Isaiah Bradley, to me at least. The boat scenes of this episode are some of the best character development of a relationship inside of the MCU. We get a little tease of how big the support group for the Flag Smashers really is with that scene inside of New York, and we get a little bit more context of what the heck is going through Sharon right now. I love what they did with Sharon inside of episode 3, showing that she's just now this kind of hardened criminal. For 7 years she's been on the run because she didn't get a pardon like the rest of them did. We also get an amazing juxtaposition of Steve saving his troops and going back to Isaiah doing the same, hence why I think that he is the mascot of America during that time period, because he was thrown in prison for doing the exact same thing that Steve did at least 10 years earlier. Like I said, an amazing opening that welcomes a contender for the best episode, but this doesn't set up the finale at all. But coming in at my number one has got to go to episode 4, The Whole World Is Watching. Just starting off with that great opening sequence with Bucky and Io in Wakanda 6 years ago, and Bucky just being flushed away out of all of the brainwashing. All of it is perfectly acted by Sebastian Stan, who I thought couldn't even act that way. You just see Bucky finally accepting, finally being free of this brainwashing of being an assassin for 70 years, and all of it hits you hard. This episode was actually really great from the start. I did not want it to beat episode 3 for me because I really did love episode 3, but everything inside of this episode perfectly captures America today. The plot is finally moving forward with the Dora Milaje having a huge presence over them trying to get to Zemo, and giving us a lot of Sam doing what he does best, showing how he can speak and articulate with people, because that's what was his profession inside of Winter Soldier. So when we see him conversating with Carly, saying that I agree with you, but you got to try to find a different approach, and how Carly is calming down with her conversation with Sam, worked for me. But we are all here because of that amazing scene of John killing the Flag Smasher, which is some of the darkest and some of the most surprising things that come out of the MCU, and especially Disney. I love the question of, would you take the serum? That question in and of itself works for me greatly. One thing that this and episode 5 tells me is that Captain America will always be Steve Rogers, and there is only one Steve Rogers. We have death, we have action, we have peril, we have excitement, we have shocking reveals. This is why episode 4 has to come in at number 1. Alright guys, that is it for the ranking. Please know that everything that I did say in this video was just my very own opinion. My list was certainly not the right list. It was just my list. And you're free to comment down below your ranking of all 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, ranked from the worst to the best, just like me. Or you could just do your favorite. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter that's going to pop up on your screen right now. Also, don't forget to check out that playlist of everything Marvel related that I have on my channel up above. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. And I will see you all next time. Peace.